Well, hey there, friends. It's Chris from the Rate the Record podcast. And just before we get started, I wanted to let you know that Rate the Record is giving away records. We have been for the last few months now. For April 2023, we are giving away a brand new vinyl copy of Mr. Bungle's California album, which we covered back all the way on episode 7. So if you want a chance to win this brand new vinyl, go down to the link in the description below or go to ratetherecord.ca to enter for your chance to win. If you live in Canada, the United States, the UK, or Australia, now's your chance. Fill out that form. Good luck. Winners announced at the end of April. But now we have to get on with a new music review. It's that time of the week again. I got 3 new songs that I want to tell you about. I want to tell you my opinion. You got to tell me yours. That's how this whole thing works. So let's just get it started. Okay, so first up we have Depeche Mode, who we actually just covered on the show not too long ago for episode 70. But they do have a brand new album that's dropping soon, I think, or maybe it just dropped. Regardless, it's their 15th studio album called Memento Mori, and the song I'm looking at today is called Wagging Tongue. I would consider this pretty standard fare for Depeche Mode if you started listening to them in the 90s onward and everything like that. They still have their modern touch of their classic sound. You're gonna get this on this one. I don't think it sounds too much different from that. It's just generally very chill all around. The vocals are exactly what you expect. It's nice that the vocals still sound good after all this time, considering how long Depeche Mode's been around, so that's always a plus. The beat has a very mid-pacing to it. Not mid as in, oh, it was okay. I mean, mid-tempo is probably what I should have referenced it as. It has that, it's just, it's bouncy, it's a simple kick snare type beat, so it's just nice to have that. On top of all these really atmospheric and moody synthesizers as well, I know how to speak. And there's a slight hint of optimism in the instrumentals. I say that because I did originally say it was moody, but there's some major transitions in there every once in a while, so it kind of gives you a lot to explore emotionally, I guess. Realistically, this song feels like it would be a middle of the record type of song. I mean, it has life to it, but I don't think it has the energy to be a single, especially considering what we know Depeche Mode can release as singles. I'm surprised that this one is. That doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, though. It's still fairly catchy and easily digestible, so by all means, I guess I can see why it was in that respect, but I don't know, if you're trying to sell your album, probably pick a stronger track than this one. With that said, I will say overall, it's not a bad track. It's a little moody like I had mentioned, but again, you can always expect that in a gothy style track from a gothy style band. I just realized today's a whole theme of bands who have been around for a very long time and just have new albums dropping, because this next one is Avenged Sevenfold from Huntington Beach, California. They have a new album in June dropping called Life is But a Dream, and I'm looking at the single from it called Nobody. Just to preface, I've never really listened to Avenged Sevenfold outside of what you would hear in certain video games or something like that. Other than that, it's still kind of new to me, so I can't really talk too much about their older material. I love that bendy guitar that opens up the entire track. It happens throughout most of the track, but it was a good idea to start with it and open the song with it. It was really cool. I also really like the slower halftime beat that the song rides out on. That mixed with the guitars and everything like that actually fit together very well. Now again, talking about how I'm not too familiar with their older stuff, I understand that this vocalist usually gets a lot of praise for his voice and everything like that. It sounds like he could be pretty good, but this particular performance feels a little forced, and now it's not that they're terrible, but I will say that they're definitely a little weathered, and you can kind of hear that. I mean, I guess it's okay from, again, a band who's been around a long time. I don't know how much you can expect, especially out of this kind of performance, so there's that. Towards the chorus, things get a little more atmospheric, and then you match that with the sweeping guitar, and I kind of like the feeling of both of those combined. But overall, I think the mix feels a little weak. It doesn't feel as full as it probably can. Things just kind of feel, I don't want to say sparse, but a little flat. There's no liveliness or texture in the mix, and I think that's a detriment to it. Not that it makes me hate the song, but just I wish there was more life to the sound. I don't even know how to describe this properly. The track is over 6 minutes long, and I think the last couple of minutes stood out to me the most. You have this guitar solo that I think sounds really good. The string work is actually a really nice touch. The bass has a solid few moments in there as well. Few moments, there's some good solid bass moments all over the track, but in the end I think it's really drawn out more. In a good way, that is. Overall, I'm not gonna lie, this kind of does feel like butt rock, but you know what, I don't mind this one. I'm not sure how often I'll come back to a track like this or even this album, but I did enjoy it while I was here with it, so I'll give it that much. And finally, in this trio of bands who are coming back, who have been around for a long time, we have The Devil Wears Prada, and they actually dropped their latest album, Color Decay, back in October, and they're still releasing singles for it. They've released their 6th single from this album. I guess they just really want to push this thing to the moon, but regardless, the single, despite the fact that it's been out for a while, is now a brand new single technically, and it is called Reaching. Really reaching for a spot on the Billboard chart, aren't you, boys? I like the entirety of the intro. I like the instrumentation of it. I like where it's going, but that flame is kind of lost once the verse kicks in. I was a little underwhelmed by the verse and how everything felt in there, but it does somewhat reignite in the choruses though, so you aren't left out for too long. So I was worried that the verse was going to drag this one down, but thankfully it wasn't really that way. I've mentioned this with other bands in the past, and I'll mention it here too. The 2000s hardcore scene is definitely back with this one. Obviously, Devil Wears Prada was part of that scene. I'm pretty sure I've seen them live too. At one point in the 2000s, I saw them Protest the Hero, maybe Ill Scarlet, Silverstein. That sounds like a lineup that I've probably seen before when I went to a show in Toronto, but regardless, so I know what they sounded like in their beginnings as compared to now. You have your angsty screaming vocals, you have the occasional growling that happens, clean vocals, so you get a good match of things in there, or mix of things, to say, mix and match by all means. Regardless, you get that. It all sounds pretty decent too. I do like it. And then you get like some very distinct riffage on the guitar as well, so that was also fun to listen to. Distinct meaning it's very much fitting of the scene and time that it came from. It's heavy and it has a moderate pace though, so it's not too quick. It's a slow headbanger at the very least, which is always good. You don't necessarily need to go insanely fast to have a good heavy song. Going back to the vocals for a minute too, I mean, the screaming is good for a guy who I assume is in his late 30s or early 40s. I'm not exactly certain the age of the members, but he's been there since the beginning, and so the fact that he, again, I've said this before, the fact that he can sound like this now, it's amazing to me that these screamers can keep up their voices like this. Some can, some can't, but the ones who can, it's like, what are you doing to protect yourself when this is your livelihood and then you're screaming, destroying your throat? How do you do this? How do you still sound good after all this time? It's interesting to me. Overall, I say it's fine. I definitely don't hate it. It's nothing too special, but I can see why this would get good attention, especially from the fan base. So yeah, you know what? It's not bad. Definitely not top of the list for me, but hey, you know what? I enjoyed it. Just kind of like I did with the first track with Depeche Mode, or maybe the second song with Avenged Sevenfold. All three songs kind of gave me the same feelings today. And with that, we've reached the end of the new music review for the week, so thank you very much for joining me and listening to the songs with me, if you indeed did. If you have any opinions on them, let me know, because I just told you mine. I want to hear yours. Down in the comments below, let me know what you thought. I'm very curious, and all the songs are linked down in the description below as well, so if you need quick links, they're right there for you. Make sure you subscribe to us here on YouTube, and also if you listen to any other audio streaming platforms, because we do indeed have a podcast, make sure you subscribe over there as well. Follow us wherever on our social medias as well. Rate the Record Podcast over on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. But all of those links can be found over at ratetherecord.ca. All of it's listed down in the description below. I'm wonderful for talking. And don't forget, we are giving away an album for April 2023. We're giving away a record, brand new copy of Mr. Bungle's California, as I mentioned at the beginning. So if you live in Canada, the United States, UK, or Australia, any one of those places, you can enter to win. It's down in the description below, or again, over at ratetherecord.ca. Good luck if you do enter. We're excited to give this one away. But Rate the Record Podcast, that thing that we do, yes, we actually just had an episode this past Monday, because we have new episodes every single Monday. This past Monday, we looked at Elliott Smith and the album Figure 8. Now, I've brought up Elliott Smith so many times on this show. I've told Savannah to listen to him so many times. She never listens to me, but if I put it on the show, I force her to listen to me, and she actually didn't regret it. I won't say how much she didn't regret it. You'll have to watch and find out exactly how much she liked that album. And I chose it, so you know it's good. So go watch that. So go watch the other episodes that maybe you haven't seen yet. There's plenty to binge. Go watch some of the old new music reviews, so that way you can listen to songs you haven't listened to yet. You have plenty of options to stick around the channel. It's fun to have you here. But until we see you next time, go listen to some awesome music. Take care, friends.